Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to No More Covers podcast, hosted by yours truly, Latrice Marie, where all are welcome to tune in every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This show is all about me learning how to be a blessing unto you. Each and every Friday, I plan on showing you how God continued to heal, bless, and deliver me, how he continued to uncover and unravel the things that were not true that continue to be a stain in my life. With that being said, I pray that you are motivated. I pray that you are encouraged. I pray that this show just continues to light a fire in you that will be the much needed change in this world. All about me learning how to be a blessing unto you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Once again, this is No More Covers, hosted by yours truly, Latrice Marie. And as usual, on this day, I am so excited about the topic we'll be covering. This segment is called Uncovered, the Story. And so on this morning, I want to ask, who have you given the power to tell your story? And here it is. This was brought on about a conversation that me and Dion had on last night. And I was telling him about how awesome my experience was in New York, which is full of beauty, which is full of life, which is full of things that we should be celebrating from day to day. And one of the best things that took place is, not only did my husband and I get a chance to get together and spend some valuable time together, but we were blessed to be able to go see two musicals, both of them phenomenal, both of them worthwhile, both of them I believe that everyone should be able to take part in, being able to see the beauty, the characters, and in one instance, the real life that was displayed on the stage. The two plays that I was able to go and see was actually Wicked and also Alexander Hamilton. Phenomenal. I cannot do enough with my limited vocabulary to tell you about the great experience to be able to be in the very presence, to breathe the same breath as some of those people were on stage. Not only did they act, they became the very entity of the characters that they were indeed on the stage to become. And I got to experience that. And here it is at Wicked, I was able to be in row D. That means I was 4 seats back, like 4 rows back in the orchestra section. And it was a dream come true for me. This was something that my sister and I, Nikki, have been wanting to go see, I want to say at least 15 to 20 years. This was something that we put on our bucket list to be able to go out and be able to enjoy. And I'm telling you, I had a phenomenal time. I think the only thing that could have made it better was if my sister was in the seat next to me. But at the same time, I'm blessed to know that wherever I am, not only does the Lord go with me, but I was able to experience that with her. And I believe that we're going to have another opportunity to just do that. But able to tell you about the miracle, the transformation that took place. You have to realize I was talking to Dan and I was telling him this was something I already wanted to do for so long. And I was blessed with that opportunity. But when I went in, I was already full. My mindset was, let me hear the spin that this witch is going to give us on why she was the person she was and why she continued to do wicked things. And the truth of the matter is that when we go into different experiences, when we begin to hear the same, even the biblical stories that are told in the Bible, the biblical truths that go forward, it's like we come and our cup is already full. It doesn't give us the opportunity to allow anything else to be poured into us. I came into Wicked and I wanted to hear the witch tell why she had done all the things she did that we all knew and she would agree with that was wicked. I knew that this was her story her chapter, her voice. But I began to question after I sat there for a while, who lived to tell the story? In history and in war, the quote unquote winner and the one that was doing right, the one that was in favor of the people, the one that was for the country and or ordained by God, only depends on where you live, what affects you personally or your household. It depends on your status and the rights that you feel you deserve. That's who lives to tell the story. It depends on what class you sit in what country, because we will have the same war, but it may not end the same way. As we continue to follow the Yellow Brick Road in our lives, our perspective may become skewed. So let me pause for a minute and explain a little bit. To follow the Yellow Brick Road means to chase after the things that you feel that you are entitled to. It's based on your belief of what you need personally. We link arms with those who look, think, and thirst as we do. We go about our merry way, singing and ho-humming along, unaffected by who may be getting hurt, killed, or tortured because of our pursuit of happiness, our pursuit of the rights that we deserve, our pursuit of entitlement. To this day, I'm still interested in knowing what it means to live back in the quote unquote good old days when people were kind and respectful. And I leave that with a question mark. So now when I begin to hear this time and time again in different atmospheres that I'm placed in, I begin to question if that good old days really means the days when people knew their place. Question mark. And as my current pastor would say today, and he's brought up time and time again, we need to realize that the Holy Spirit that lives today existed back then too. But were you caught up in following the Yellow Brick Road that you just begin to ignore what was happening to your neighbors? Was the Yellow Brick Road only in your backyard? These are the things that begin to take place and allow me to see a shift in the way that I began to view and understand wicked. It was like I was caught up in everything that I thought and not necessarily what I knew. So for me, the good old days clearly did not resemble the images of people being attacked by, I won't use the first word because I don't want to be offensive, but there's a word before dogs. So it definitely did not display the images of people being attacked by dogs or sprayed down with aggressive fire hoses of water because they simply desired to learn, to live, and to be treated equally. No, that's not the Yellow Brick Road that mattered. No, that's not what it means to continue to reference the good old days. There's parts that we leave out of the story. The picture that is painted of the good old days is where you see Dorothy still singing, dancing, and entertaining us to the point of distraction, dissolution, and peace. The image of the good old days is how people would describe it is you would see tulips and roses and gold everywhere we looked, but we refused to enter into the fields for ourselves to really see what was going on. And so now I'm just going to just stop momentarily so we can get a word from our sponsors.
If you are listening to this podcast, make sure you listen every single day. Also, check us out on IG Noyade Podcast Productions. That's Noyade Podcast Productions.
Hello, hello, hello again. Welcome back to No More Covers, sponsored by yours. I guess it is sponsored by me too. But what I wanted to say is hosted by yours truly, Latrice Marie. I pray that today is an amazing day. I hope that you can just continue to walk with me during this journey. I'm talking about my experience. And this whole idea came together when me and Dion was talking about my experience and my opportunity to be so blessed to be able to go to see Wicked on Broadway. This segment is called Uncovered Story. And so what I was talking about in the first segment is that as I entered Wicked, I already was full. I already knew what to expect. And for this reason, oftentimes we miss it. Who is spoon feeding you the story? Who is the author of your story? And so what I want to do is I just want to compel you to open up your heart and just begin to listen. I believe that oftentimes if something feels good, we can oftentimes be lulled back to sleep. We can begin to realize that it's not just about us. If we continue to look spiritually, if we look biblically, we are called to love our neighbors such as ourselves. And so for this reason, I begin to ask you, who are you in your story? Are you more like Elphaba or Glinda? You have to remember at one time that they were friends. And as I continued to watch, I was like, oh my goodness, I would have missed it. They begin to tell us the story of Elphaba. Instead of us just beginning to judge or allow what we see to be able to determine what we believe. Because Elphaba looked different, automatically she had to be the villain. Automatically she had to be the one, quote unquote, that was wicked. Imagine growing up and easily being able to be identified or differentiated from others. Imagine that you are just called different or the other child. This is too much of a reality these days. Maybe you're not blending in because the Lord created you to stand out. Maybe because we don't understand, because we don't ask questions, we continue to miss it, we continue to get it wrong. Just imagine her story. She was born green. She was born different. And because of it, no one would give her the opportunity. And so let me pause right there and just begin to talk a little bit on being different. When you look at people and you label them as being different or having a disability, I believe that they actually were created with an advantage. They were created to see things differently than we do. They were created to create new paths while we're still following the same one that will be based on someone else's vision or belief of what is true. This gives them an opportunity to bless us if we're in a position to be willing to learn. Different doesn't mean less than. Not even mathematically does that equate to being the same. Let's look at people and begin to love them first before we judge. Let's get a chance to get to know them. What can you offer them and what can they offer you? Oftentimes we're so puffed up with pride, we fail to realize that each and every one of us sin. Each and every one of us make a mistake. Each and every one of us have an opportunity to be blessed, to be able to go forward and learn something new. I believe that in Wicked, Elphaba, who was the witch, was there to bless Galinda to be able to learn, to be able to glean. In all actuality, from what I saw on stage was the witch was the one that was actually doing what was right and necessary. She wasn't following the yellow brick road of her own life and just continuing to make sure that she was good. She had a heart for the people. And when you have a heart for the people, you allow that will turn around and hurt you, that will turn around and tell your story and run with it, where you go from being beautiful, giving, loving, caring, to being labeled as the wicked, given a name such as the witch. Oftentimes, people will hear this message and still twist it. She's saying that witches are good. What I'm saying is you need to look into the story for yourself. Don't just begin to see what is surface and begin to run with it. That's when the idea, that's when truth, that's when these things become ruined. Who's telling the story? Now, in the yellow brick road ideology, I'm asking that you begin to view things as, Dorothy wasn't sure at the end of it. And this is going back to the Wizard of Oz, of course. She wasn't sure if these things really took place. She began to question, did these things really happen? There are times in our life when we need to begin to question if our eyes were closed as we continue to live the vision which was established for and by others. Then again, maybe your eyes were wide open and you were still asleep and caught up in the fantasy that was saturated in your space. I'm asking that we don't continue to follow along with the status quo. I'm asking that we just begin to bow down and go unto our God that is never changing, but forever present, forever available, forever your present help. Go unto him and ask him what is right. Who has the right to tell your story? Lord, I come unto you and I ask, where have I villainized somebody that may have been in the right the whole time, that had the ability to see things the same way that you did, that had the ability and the boldness that you gave them to do something radical, such as love those that are quote unquote unlovable, to love those that are quote unquote wicked. Lord, show us who we are in the stories that we continue to walk in. Lord, who am I that you are mindful of me? I just want you to begin to question things, beliefs, ideas. Because if we continue to walk about like these things are not happening, if we continue to begin to allow others to believe that we don't see you, you don't have a voice, it doesn't matter. And I'm talking on a specific community. Here in the United States, they say that we live as the melting pot. Some of us never question what that means. Now, to me, and you can let me know if I'm wrong, that means I need you to take everything that allows you to stand out from your ancestry, get rid of all those things and begin to blend and look more like us, and then we can accept you. But even when we invite you in, we're going to still cause a divide by labeling you. No longer is it good enough for you to be American. That's only limited to one side of this. Now you're a dash American, African dash American, Asian dash American, Latin dash American. But we still need you to follow the yellow brick road. I'm thankful on this morning that as I woke up, like originally I was just going to tell the story and how it felt to be in the audience. But a lot of times the things that we watch, a lot of time becomes my wake-up call. The Lord knows my heart was already positioned in such a way to be able to share with you, but he poured something totally different into me on this morning. He gave me the courage to get up here and be able to say the things that others think but won't be able to say in public because you'll be viewed a certain way. I believe that in the Bible it tells us that our ultimate goal should be to fit into the eye of the needle. We have to realize that our calling is not to just continue to be the same, to put blinders on and ho-hum through the rest of our life. There are certain things that he's calling us to do. And here it is, I begin to go, and I even have friends say, well, you're going to see what? Because we just look at the title. Why would you want to see that? Not knowing what the Lord was using it to do to bless me. So I'm asking that the Lord just be able to bless you in such a way that you can say, Lord, I need you to purge me of all the things I thought I knew, Lord, and give me the opportunity, give me the vision to see things the same way that you do. It's time to wake up. I believe in the word that it says that we always have to remain vigilant. We need to be mindful of the images that we accept to be true. It's okay to ask questions of others as long as we can do it in a respectful way. I believe that it's okay that we have a friend in Jesus and he would allow us to come to him and ask why these things are taking place. Lord, what is it that you would have me to do? Lord, where is it you would have me to go? And what is it that you're calling me to say, Father? We have to be mindful of the company that we keep and yet and still remain vigilant at all times. 2 Corinthians 11 and 14, the New International Version says, and no wonder, for Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light, as a quote-unquote Galinda, as a family member, as a friend, refusing to do the right thing and tell the true story. The enemy has a way of coming in and manipulating and polluting what is true. And the hardest thing for us to do is to stand up and have enough courage to be able to say what is true. There are a lot of things that we as this society do. We have a sense of entitlement, or we feel as though we're better than. The only way that this can be accomplished is this way. We have a way of labeling our children which will continue to affect them their entire life. If, and only if, they don't come to know the one true living God for himself, for his heart, for his love, and not to come to know him as the pastor, as the deacon, as the church member that has done hateful and spiteful things to him and believe it to be right. This is our wake-up call. We have the opportunity to tell a brand new story. And the hardest thing that we can do oftentimes is allow ourselves to be conscious of our surroundings, to be compassionate to people in other countries that we may never even know their names, to be able to give even our last if it causes someone else to live. That's the story that I believe he wants to be told. I remember, and I'm not sure why this is coming to me, my mom used to always say to me, you can't let the right hand know what the left hand is doing. I was like, what? On the inside, because we didn't really question her. What are you talking about? The left hand has to know so they can work together. And so the side note of that is, Maybe that's why we're having so many difficulties, because we want to remain blind. And we don't want to work together in unity with what the Lord and the kingdom is requiring us to do. But coming back to her statement, I realized that she was teaching me something. As sad as it is, you can't share your dreams. You can't share everything with everybody. You have to be led, because oftentimes if you allow the wrong person to speak, you're already defeated. You already begin to doubt what the Lord has already called you to, what he's already told you. Because you always have to be mindful that whatever the Lord is calling you to do, he may tell you the end result. He may never tell you everything that you're going to go through, every friend that you're going to lose, every person that's going to turn their back. We may never know that, but I'm believing that the Lord is calling us to trust him more, Lord. You are the creator of creation. Nothing catches you by surprise. You knew us before we were conceived and in our mother's womb. And yet and still, you loved us. I believe that we are a part of his story. So I encourage you to be mindful of that. I don't want you to view yourself any longer as different. I want you to see yourself as spectacular, as a masterpiece, as advantage. We need to begin to change the verbiage of our story. I encourage you to continue to pray and ask for his wisdom, his direction, and his strength. Begin to totally surrender unto God. Allow him to be the author and the finisher, or if you like it better, allow him to be the author and the perfecter of your faith. Remember that in all you do, in all you represent, remember that you are a part of his story, that he went out of his way to find you right where you are, to love you. You were not a mistake. You didn't happen by chance. The Lord created you to be beautiful. I believe that the rainbow should actually begin to display how awesome our God is. He has the ability not just to paint our world in one color. He creates it in an array of beautiful. That's who you are. I love you. Thank you for listening once again. I look forward to having another conversation with you every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make it a blessed one, y'all. In Jesus' name. Amen. I just wanted to stop at this time to personally say thank you for joining in with us today. Know that I couldn't be me without you. On this podcast, we are determined to pump love, disintegrate lies, cancel chains, and expose the truth. Here on No More Covers by Latrice Marie.